little early gadget play, and back in the secondary. Back to the close. First time. Missed the least one after. High snap with Patrick left again. Bouncing beyond.
He's very coachable, and he likes to get out.
Home opener for the defending champs should be.
Hello everybody, Chris Harris here, and welcome to Classic High School Football on YurView. We've got a terrific game for you from the 2015 season, a matchup of 5A teams from Louisiana, Scotlandville and Zachary, and the district opener for both teams. Year in and year out, Zachary High School out of Baton Rouge is a big school title contender in Louisiana. They've won at least 11 games the past 3 years, including 2015 when they won 14 games. Meanwhile, Scotlandville has only recently ascended to the top of the 5A division. The Hornets have won 10 or more games in each of the last 3 years and own a 48-13 record over the past 5 seasons, after not winning more than 4 games the previous 5 years. Quite the turnaround. Now, both teams were led by outstanding dual-threat quarterbacks. Senior Lindsey Scott Jr. of Zachary was one of the more decorated QBs in state history. Scott was named Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year after the 2015 season, in which he threw for over 3,000 yards and ran for nearly 2,000. On the other side, Scotlandville quarterback Levi Lewis was equally effective throwing and running the ball. Just a junior in 2015, Lewis averaged over 2,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing each of his years as the Hornets QB. Lewis has legitimate 4.5 speed in the 40-yard dash. This game was more like an arena football game. Defensive stops were far and few between, and it would come down to who could make a key stop when it counted. Zachary and Scotlandville, enjoy the game. We'll see you again after the first quarter.
Just a couple more minutes away before kickoff between Zachary and Scotlandville as we're in Zachary, Louisiana. Jeff Palermo and Jason DeQuire. And the third member of our broadcast team is Jessica Province. And let's send it down to her for this injury report.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Now, 2 key players will be returning to the field tonight for Zachary, as Donovan Perkins will be starting after suffering a shoulder dislocation against Calvary Baptist. Now, also taking the field tonight, but not necessarily starting, is Kelton Hollins, as he suffered a high ankle sprain in the same game against Calvary Baptist. So be on the lookout for that. Back up to you.
That was our peak performance physical therapy injury report. The captains for these two respective teams at midfield for the opening coin toss. Zachary again 4-1 on the year, coming off a 44-34 win over Dutchtown. Lindsey Scott, a big game, rushed for 3 touchdowns, threw for 2 touchdowns. The only loss for Zachary, you just heard Jessica talk about that game against Calvary Baptist a couple of weeks ago. They lost in that contest to the Cavaliers 42-28. There's a look at Lindsey Scott. Senior, 6 foot, 205 pounds, and we'll give you his stats a little bit later on. But last year he was the 5A offensive MVP, and we're looking forward to a big night from him. He's had some big games already this season. In that game against Catholic High earlier this season, the Broncos had 504 yards of total offense, and he threw for 199 yards in that game. For the Scotlandville Hornets, their first-year head coach is Robert Valdez. They're 5-0. They've won their 5 games by an average of 28 points. As you look at Coach Valdez, who's 41 years old, his overall coaching record at 69-35. He takes over a team that last year went 9-4, 4-2 in district play, and lost to Zachary in the quarterfinals. It was the second straight year that Scotlandville had made it to the quarters, and Coach Valdez leaving West St. John for the opportunity to coach at a 5A school, and here he is, and he has this Hornets team at a 5-0 record. Big win last week for Scotlandville, Jason, as they defeated Ouachita 39-20.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any bigger than that. I mean, Ouachita are the schools that you think about up in North Louisiana, difficult to get through during the playoffs, and you go up there, mid-season form, and you're able to take those guys on and win. That's a big win for Coach Valdez, and it's amazing to see what he's done with this offense, and we'll talk more about that, Jeff, as the game goes on.
There you look at Coach Brewerton, David Brewerton. He led the Broncos to the state semifinals last year before they lost to eventual state champion Acadiana. This is his second season at Zachary. His record is 16-3. His overall record is 72-30, and he is fired up for this one. Both of these coaches have led teams to state championship games. Both of them finished as runner-ups. Zachary, David Brewerton led Livonia to the 3A state title game in 2013 where they lost to Union Parish. West St. John, when Valdez was the head coach there, he led them to the state title game in 2011. We are set for kickoff from Zachary, Louisiana. Martel Fontenot has it teed up, and this kick is heading towards the sidelines, and it is out of bounds. So an early penalty in this game, and good field position for Scotlandville, who's averaging 42 points a game. They play a fast-paced, kind of a helter-skelter type of offense, no huddle, a lot of inside zone rushing. And previously, Scotlandville, they were a pro-style offense, so now they're a spread offense, and Coach Valdez says the team has really bought into that.
Yeah, and, when you got a mature quarterback like Levi Lewis and you have new coaches coming in, implementing a new system, you would think that, it may take a while to adjust. But when I was talking to the offensive coordinator right before the game for Scotlandville, he says they have just picked it up, adjusted well. And really what you're going to see tonight is Scotlandville showcasing their athletes, trying to put him in space, and Levi can do it running it with his legs as well as with his arm through the air.
There you look at Lewis. He's thrown for nearly 1,000 yards. He's rushed for over 500 yards on the season. And he'll hand it off to his running back. This is Trenton Charles, and he is brought down. Taiwan Bearden making his presence known early in this game. He's a 3-year starter, a senior linebacker for the Broncos, a loss of 4. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Scotlandville, brought to you by Peak Performance. The offensive line, Brian Thomas, Manzi Williams, Trevellis Harris, Daquano Lewis, and Roderick Thomas, who's a junior. Williams is a senior, Harris is a senior, Lewis is a senior, and Brian Thomas, he's a future D1 prospect, a junior, 6'4", 270 pounds. Second down and 14 now for Levi. All day to throw, and has his man, and it's caught at the 41-yard line, 4 yards shy of the first down. That's Tyson Hives. Let's take a look at the rest of the skill position players for the Hornets. Hives is a senior. You also have out there David Armstead. Chris Johnson did not play in this game last year. He had an ACL injury. He's a big-time player for Scotlandville. And then the running back, Trenton Charles, who's averaging 6.5 yards a carry. 3rd and 4 now for Scotlandville on the opening drive of the night. Lewis looks, throws, caught, but his man falls down a yard shy of the first down. It was there if the receiver was able to stay on his feet, but Trenton Charles could not. That's his 5th catch of the season, and Scotlandville now facing a 4th down and a long one.
Yeah, and I know Lewis wants this one back. He threw it a little low. It made his receiver go down and kind of scoop it a little bit. Couldn't keep his balance. Touched his knee on the ground, and Scotlandville's got a decision here to make. It looks like they're trying to sort it out right now. Shall we go for it or punt it? And I'm sure Zachary is going to probably play a punt-safe situation here.
That's the way it looks like. Now someone is retrieving back to receive this one for Zachary, and that would be P.J. Cannon on the punt for Scotlandville. That is DeQuincy Jones. And we have a stoppage in play. Looks like maybe a delay of game called here.
Prior to the snap, delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Jeremy White is our referee tonight. And so that pushes the ball back 5 yards. Now back to return for Zachary. Douglas Coleman, very dangerous player. So DeQuincy Jones has to be careful with this punt. Little low snap, but plenty of time for Jones to get to punt it, and a nice hang time there, and the fair catch called at the 33-yard line. That's how you minimize a dangerous return man with a great punt like that. And Zachary's offense averaging 41 points a game, led by Lindsey Scott, who committed to Syracuse University this week. He's a 6 foot, 205-pound senior. He's thrown for nearly 1,000 yards. He's rushed for 663 yards, had 21 touchdowns last year. This year, he has over 1,800 yards in total offense. A dynamic player, one of the top quarterbacks in the state. And a high snap, and Scott now has to just fall on it, and he barely gets on it before a couple of defenders come crashing in on him. Big loss there of about 14 yards.
Well, I think what you're seeing, Jeff, is just some early game jitters. I mean, on that last 3rd and 4, Levi Lewis, had he thrown it an accurate football, the receiver had a lot of room to run and just some jitters setting in. And really, I didn't see a bad snap, but Lindsey Scott is capable of obviously handling snaps out of the shotgun, mishandles it, and a big loss there. So I think those jitters, those emotions we talked about in the pregame are definitely out there.
Well, Kelton Hollins is out there as the starting center as Scott is flushed out of the pocket. Scott doesn't have much room to run, and he'll go down at the 21-yard line. Great pursuit by the Scotlandville defense, who's only allowing 14 points a game. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Zachary. I just talking about Kelton Hollins. He's a commitment to TCU. Terrell Turner's a first-year starter. Trevor Jackson is a returning starter. There's also Blake Anderson and Dominique Holden on that offensive line. They average about 280 pounds on that O-line. Let's look at the skill position players. Terry Sullivan, Trey Shropshire, Douglas Coleman, Shiron White, and R.J. Newton. R.J. Newton's been a really nice player this season. 14 catches on the year. 3rd and long. Scott has time to throw. Heaves downfield and just past his intended receiver. That is Shropshire, the sophomore, who Coach Brewerton told me, keep an eye on him. They're trying to get him more involved in the offense. He's only a sophomore, but has a huge upside to him.
Well, it's interesting, the similar strategies that both of these defenses have employed on the first series. They're not putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but one thing, they're making sure that they've got secondary deep. We saw that when Scotlandville had the ball, and now when Zachary had the ball, Scotlandville did not put a lot of pressure on Scott, make sure that they didn't get beat over the top.
Martel Fontenot, the punter, has to handle a low snap, not a great punt, and Scotlandville is going to have great field position in Zachary territory at the 46-yard line. Well, we were expecting a lot of points in this game, but so far the two defenses have forced 3 and outs.
Yeah, who would have thunk that?
All right, let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Zachary Broncos. Again, our starting lineups brought to you by Peak Performance Physical Therapy. There's the defensive line. Aaron Celestine, he's a good one, a 6'1" senior. Then it's Michael James, Darrell Brown, and Brad Jones, a returning starter, 6'2" junior. 1st and 10 at the 46. We'll take a look at the linebackers and secondary for Zachary. And they'll hand it off, an inside run here to Trenton Charles. And Charles is to the 25, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. 46 yards on a dynamic run by Trenton Charles, his 9th touchdown run of the season.
Well, Jeffrey, let the track meet begin. This is what we expected, and before that play got off, one thing I was about to say is I can assure you this wasn't going to be a 0-0 football game, and you can now begin to see how explosive these offenses are, and you saw Charles there take the ball with quickness, 40-something yards into the house. Scotlandville on the board first.
What a cut he made in the middle of the field there. That was what was the most impressive thing about that touchdown run, and hopefully we'll get a highlight here for you. And the extra point try now coming out. Now, Scotlandville has had some issues with the extra points, and so the man that will be handling the kicking is Jonathan Robinson tonight. And Robinson's kick was blocked. So Scotlandville will have to settle for 6, but it was an impressive 6 points as Trenton Charles with a nice touchdown run, and Scotlandville has the early lead here on the Cox 4 Game of the Week. Scotlandville kicks it back over to Zachary. The return coming up here. This is Coleman trying to get it to the outside. Good pursuit, and he's going to go down at the 20-yard line. Excellent job by the kickoff coverage team by Scotlandville. Darrell Moses Jr., a linebacker, one of the guys there to contain a dangerous return man in Doug Coleman. So it's first down and 10 at the 21. Zachary's first drive of the night didn't amount to much because of a bad snap between the quarterback and the center. Trips to the near side here for Lindsey Scott. They said they wanted to establish the run game. Will we see a handoff here to Terry Sullivan? Well, another high snap. Scott keeps it, though, but not much running room. Scotlandville all over him. Defensively there was number 11, Bryce Beekman, defensive back coming in. Let's take a look at those Scotlandville linebackers. Didn't get a chance to see that before. Reggie Cleveland will actually be wearing number 30 tonight, so he'll be wearing number 30. But Daryl Moses and then DeQuincy Jones is the leading tackler. And then the defensive secondary for Scotlandville, if we got a second to look at it. Well, there's the Zachary offensive line. We've already showed you that. We'll get back to the secondary here in a second. Scotlandville defensively only averaging 14 points a game.
A little delay. We had a helmet pop off on the last play, so that player had to come out of the ball game. That was Chiron White.
And this is Terry Sullivan. Sullivan gets to the 28-yard line, and he's brought down a couple yards shy of the first down. And he was brought down by number 40 for Scotlandville, and that would be Tristan Brown. Let's take a look at the Scotlandville secondary. You have Dwayne Williams, also referred to as DJ Williams, Kelvin Joseph, Marquise Britton, and then Bryce Beekman, who has a couple of interceptions on the season. Kelvin Joseph also has an interception. Very fast and athletic defensive secondary. So third down and about 3 for Scott. Here comes the pressure, and he's going to try to run for it, and he's going to be very close. It's all going to depend upon the spot, but great job by Scotlandville to bring him down. Daryl Moses was there along with Caleb Carter. And he did get enough for a first down.
Well, and a headsy play there by Lindsey Scott, and you can see right towards the end of this run, instead of trying to beat him to the outside, he went north and south with the football, and those are the little plays that you expect out of your senior in order to keep the chains moving for your team.
Yeah, that's just one of those little plays you have that is so significant. Last week, Zachary defeated Dutchtown 44-34. Scott had a big TD run in that game of 65 yards. Last year, he threw for over 2,200 yards. And he'll go to the air here on first down and has a man that breaks away from his defender, and a great job on the catch. I believe that was Chiron White, and it was a nice grab by White to the 40-yard line. Big pickup there of 29 yards.
Well, when Scott let this go, I said it's a dangerous football. It wasn't really thrown on the line. He's falling down. The ball's kind of floating. You see him get flushed out of the pocket a little bit. And this is just when you have confidence in one of your receivers to go up and make a play. You think your guy is better than their defensive back. He threw it a little to the outside to where only his guy could get it, and Chiron White makes a big play for Zachary.
20th catch of the season for White. He had 6 grabs last week, and now Scott will run. Scott, though, not much area to run, but he somehow able to get 4 yards out of that. That was pretty good there by Lindsey Scott.
Yeah, and they've kept him pretty bottled up in terms of rushing the football so far in this game. Again, with both of these quarterbacks, one thing you got to be concerned about is their ability to rush. You've seen him mostly playing this sort of prevent and having a scout guy on the quarterback, and there he's able to really make a couple of yards out of nothing.
So second down and 5. 3 wide receivers to the far side. It's Scott and Sullivan in the backfield. And Scott takes it. Again, well, all of a sudden the pocket breaks and a big sack. That is a huge play. That is Reggie Cleveland with the sack. He is coming off a really good game last week in the win over Ouachita and makes a big-time play here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see him coming through the bottom of your screen there, and, you know, is able to get through that defensive line just at the tail end of the play. Lindsey Scott got his eyes down the field like he's supposed to, didn't see him coming, and then big loss there.
Third down and 13. This, though, might be 4-down territory for the Zachary Broncos, if they're able to pick up something at least halfway positive.
Kobe win! Kobe win!
4 wide receivers. They're split on both sides. Scott takes a few steps back, fires it over the middle of the field, and it's incomplete. That was intended for White. Bryce Beekman was all over him, and that will force Zachary to punt the football since they didn't pick up any yardage.
Yeah, and you can see here Scotlandville is clearly daring, Zachary to rush the football. They're dropping people back. They're almost kind of playing a zone back there. That ball was thrown into double coverage. The windows are real tight, and, they're going to have to start trying to loosen this thing up maybe by running the football a little bit.
Martel Fontenot ready to punt it away to Scotlandville's DJ Williams, who has 1 touchdown on a return this season. Fontenot's last punt was not a good one, and it's a fake. Fake in the middle of the field, and Scotlandville is there to read it like a book. DeAndre Williams makes the big-time play, and Scotlandville will take over at their own 44.
Well, that thing was slow developing, even for a fake punt. It was sort of a double reverse. It never really got going well. The guy that was intended to take the ball around the end could never really get his momentum going. Great heads-up play there by Scotlandville for a change of possession.
So 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. And Scotlandville's offense back out on the field. Zachary did not want to give up big plays in this game defensively. They already have, and that's why they're down 6-0. Give it to Trenton Charles, who ran 40-plus yards on a touchdown run. This time, maybe a half a yard as they stuff him there at the line of scrimmage. Bringing him down for Zachary. Justin Jackson, a transfer from Livonia, was there. And like I said, only a half a yard on that carry. Still have to take a look at, I believe, the starting lineups for the linebackers and secondary for Zachary. Maybe we'll get to that here shortly. 2nd down and 9. And a bad snap, and Lewis, and it's still loose. And look at this. Merry Christmas early. What a Christmas present there for the Zachary defender. Big-time play. It's a touchdown. That's Tywan Bearden.
Wow, and Tywan.
Flag down, though. Let's see what the flag's all about.
Tywan Bearden, that's their big leader on defense, coming up with a big play to, get this Scotlandville team going. It's come out rather stagnant, a little flat here. And, big play on defense never hurts. And let's see what the flag may be and if this thing is coming back.
Could it be a block in the back or something like that? Even though Tywan Bearden had nothing but green artificial surface in front of him. Yeah. We'll have to hear from our referee, Jeremy White.
Well, and that ball really just popped right into his hands. Here we go.
Personal foul on Blue away from the play. Ask him if they want it on the try.
Okay, so the touchdown's going to be good.
Yeah.
And they can assess the penalty either on the extra point or on the kickoff.
I think you'd want to.
The score is good. After the play, personal foul.
Yeah, we'll assess it on the kickoff. With this game being a 6-0 game, I was thinking maybe Scotlandville would.
I'm thinking like you, Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like you. Push them back. They definitely not going to go for 2, and that becomes a heck of an extra, much like the NFL extra points now. So,
it's been giving a lot of kickers gray hair so far this season. So 2 big plays. No offense here to Zachary's defense, but wasn't expecting the first big play from them to come from their defense.
No, absolutely not. And we've seen 2 botched snaps already by both teams, and that time, Scotlandville was not as fortunate as Zachary to recover theirs. Falls in the hands of Tywan Bearden into the end zone, and Zachary has a chance to go up.
Ashton Bastido puts it through the uprights. He is now 23 of 25 on extra points. And the Zachary Broncos have the lead after the defensive touchdown. 7-6 is our score on the Cox 4 Game of the Week. Scott barking out the signals. Quick throw here, and it's caught by White. Can he make a defender miss? No, he can't. Great tackling so far here by Scotlandville. They are all over the Zachary skill position players. Right there defensively for the Hornets again. Reggie Cleveland, he was a guy that was really banged up last year. We had a couple of Scotlandville games, and he was dealing with some lower leg injuries. Just nowhere to run for White a 6'1" junior who had a great sophomore year. Had a bit of a slow start to this season, but mentioned earlier, had 6 tackles last week, and Coach Brewerton thinks he's ready to have a big second half. Not much running room there for Sullivan, as Caleb Carter, very versatile player for this Hornets defense, 30 tackles on the year. He was in on that tackle for Scotlandville. The Hornets defensive coordinator is Sean Beauchamp. He is a holdover from the crew that Eric Randall had here as the head coach. Actually, it was between Beauchamp and Robert Valdez as far as who would get the head coaching job here, and Valdez ended up getting it. 3rd down and 5. Scott needs to make a play. Fires one, and that is caught by Trey Shropshire, and he's got enough for a 1st down.
Yeah, that's a great throw in rhythm there. Great catch by Shropshire, and this is what all young receivers need to see. Once you catch the ball, you get north and south. He actually ran that route a little short of the sticks, but he was able to get upfield, convert that 1st down. Zachary on the move.
Based on the stats that Zachary had posted on Max Preps, that is his 1st catch of the season. Again, Coach Brewerton told me they look to get him a little bit more in the offense involved. He's 6'3", and makes his 1st grab there. So that's the end of a very interesting 1st quarter. Zachary on a defensive touchdown. They connect on the extra point. Scotlandville doesn't, and that's the difference after 12 minutes. 2nd quarter coming up on the Cox Ford Game of the Week.
A relatively slow start to a game that was expected to be a high-scoring affair. Zachary on top of Scotlandville, 7-6 after 1. Both quarterbacks, Scott of Zachary and Lewis of Scotlandville, taking their time sizing up the opposing defenses like a fighter in a boxing match. But with the offensive weapons in this one, something was bound to give. One of the more exciting quarters we've seen in a while is coming up. You're watching Classic High School Football on YurView.
Great night for high school football as we're in Zachary. Zachary leading Scotlandville, district opener for both teams. Scoring so far, a Taiwan Bearden fumble recovery for a touchdown for the Broncos, and then Trenton Charles had a TD run for Scotlandville, and that is our scoring after 1 quarter.
Yeah, you would think, by the way the 1st quarter was played, that Scotlandville would be up big, but you know, Zachary was able to get that big defensive touchdown that you talked about and able to go up by 1 point. But I really expect both of these offenses to begin to settle in, and, you know, you'll start to see some of the points go up on the board.
Scotlandville has been really good defensively this season. I mentioned that they're only allowing 14 points a game. Scott will roll out to his right. He's got to turn it upfield, though, and there he goes to the 35, to the 40, bouncing off tacklers as he stumbles to the 50-yard line. Great run of 27 yards.
Well, in my opinion, this is what makes him so dangerous, one of the best high school football players in the state. When Lindsey Scott decides that he's going to run the football, he's as good as any running back out there. I mean, he is quick, he's elusive, and you can see he's got some speed, and that's a quick burst. Big gain, and now Zachary at midfield.
1st and 10 at the 50. And another mishandle by Scott, and he loses a lot of yards there. He loses 15. So Scott could not handle that. Looked like that snap had a little mustard on it.
Well, it did, but you know, for Lindsey, he's upset with himself. You can see there, this is not a snap that he can't handle. I think he's looking for things to happen out there with his receivers, and I tell you what, no matter how great of a player you are, when you lose focus of the simple things, then, you know, that hand-eye coordination, you know, those things can happen, and that's the 2nd time we've seen that happen in this ball game.
Now you look at David Brewerton when he took that Livonia team to the state championship game. A missed snap hurt Livonia's chances to win that game. Scott, under all kinds of trouble, somehow gets rid of it, and it's caught. And that's Coleman, and he was 1 man away from breaking it.
And you're exactly right, Jeff. If that tackle isn't made, we know the type of player and speed that Coleman has. But Scott, very fortunate to get that ball out. Scotlandville dialing up the pressure a little bit more on Lindsey Scott, forcing him to you make a decision a lot faster. Coleman gets the ball and fortunate that Scotlandville was able to trip him up.
Daryl Moses Jr. on the tackle, 17 on the season coming into this game, brings up 3rd and long. Scotlandville not afraid to take chances with the blitz, as you saw there. They normally run out of a 4-3, cover 2 defense. A lot of returning starters from a season ago. Scotlandville, again, last year won 9 games under head coach Eric Randall. 3rd down and 16. Scott's got time to throw this time. Now here comes the pressure, and he'll have to throw on the run, and it's caught, but just shy of the 1st down by a yard, bringing up 4th and 1. Sharon White makes the catch. He's had a nice night tonight, but I think you got to go for it here if you're David Brewerton.
Yeah, they send 3 receivers deep. None of them are open. Obviously, they were looking for the home run ball. You can see there, White frees up late across the middle, and, no question, they're going to end up going for this, Jeff.
Scott will actually get underneath center for this 4th down and 1. First, he'll try to draw Scotlandville off sides, and then I think Zachary's going to call the timeout here. Nope. Look at this. Scott's going to take it and go. How about that? Touchdown, Broncos!
You got to watch out for Lindsey Scott. I mean, he is just, I really think what happened here is he's caught Scotlandville a little lax, just like you were wondering, hey, are they going to call the timeout? Are they going to go for it? Bam, there goes the snap. Almost a miscue on the snap. It looked like he almost fumbled it and really was just going to be a quarterback sneak. Realized he could get around the end right there. Here you go. I think there was almost a way you didn't catch it there, but, just a little daylight on the outside, and that's all you need for Lindsey Scott is a little daylight, and he knows where to take the football.
Yeah, I was keeping my eye on David Brewerton, the head coach for Zachary, and I was looking to see if he was going to call timeout, and just kind of his body language looked like he's saying, all right, we're just going to call time. We didn't draw him off sides. He snapped, and I agree with you. I think there was a bobble there on this exchange. Again, normally Zachary's in shotgun formation. He doesn't take too many snaps underneath center, and that extra point is blocked, and it's not going anywhere. I don't even know if it was blocked. I don't even think they even tried it.
No, they never got it off.
So it's a 13-6 game. Lindsey Scott, if you haven't seen him play, well, you're in for a treat. That's just the start of it when it comes to number 18 for the Broncos. We'll be back after this here on the Cox 4 Game of the Week. Oh, an onside kick, but Scotlandville recovers it. Wow, a lot of surprises in this one. And this is what it's all about. 2 great teams going at it in the district opener. Might as well come out swinging.
Well, and that one does surprise me. I mean, and I guess it surprised, but fortunately it didn't surprise the upmen for Scotlandville. They were able to recover the ball, and the good news is now Mr. Levi Lewis gets the ball at midfield, so the playbook is wide open for Scotlandville. I give credit to my old teammate Brew for some guts there and going for it,
David Brewerton, he was part of that 1990 Catholic High team that went to the state title game. Jason remembers it so well.
Yeah. I try not to remember. That's one of those things you don't want to remember.
And this is Levi Lewis, who doesn't have much running room here. And look at that Zachary defense. Broncos on a stampede there. They bring him down. Tywan Bearden there defensively, along with a couple of other black jerseys. While we got a second, congratulations, though, to Dale Weiner on getting win number 300 last week against Turlings Catholic. What an honor right there.
Yeah, I mean, 300 wins is 300 wins. And, the thing about Coach Weiner is, one of the things he focuses on more than football is trying to create young men, good, suitable men for the community, and that's why it's been such an honor for so many people to play for Coach Weiner.
Levi Lewis somehow stays on his feet and then finally goes down at the 45-yard line. Bearden again there for Zachary, and also there for the Broncos is Herb Cummings, who makes a lot of plays for the Zachary defense in 3rd and long. And so far, Levi Lewis having a hard time just finding any time to throw the football or finding any wide receivers open downfield.
Well, yeah, and I was talking to Coach Carrier before the game. He actually made some switches back there at defensive back and moved one of his receivers at defensive back just for this game, putting his best athletes in positions to try to slow this Scotlandville team down.
The left-hander Lewis winds up, fires, man wide open, and it's caught. And this is going to be a Scotlandville touchdown on 3rd and 14, 55 yards. Chris Johnson.
Well, and I was just talking about making some of those changes, and there you go. Scotlandville exploits the defensive back there, and I think that was Braylon Jones on the coverage. And again, Levi Lewis shows you his arm strength. Why he's such a gifted player as well. He can beat you through the air, and I tell you what, here you go on the replay. And I tell you what, he just leads him perfectly on this ball. His receiver creates separation, and bam, big plays after big plays. That's the way these two teams are scoring. That's the way we expected them to score.
Braylon Jones was beat there. He's one of those offensive players you talked about. They go for two and wings it in there, but incomplete to Armstead. So Scotlandville still down by 1 point. 3rd down and 11 here for Zachary at the 35-yard line. Lindsey Scott, 3 wide receivers to the far side. And he goes back to pass. 4-man rush. Miles all over him. Gets away from him. Runs into his own man. Now a couple more Hornets after him, and he completes it. It looks like on the far side. Are you kidding me? Yes. What a catch at the 47-yard line, and that was Doug Coleman.
Wow. I mean, this is just, you know, I mean, he's showing arm strength here, really. After he eludes a couple of rushers in the backfield there, obviously he's able to get free. But here's where the arm strength on the run, a deep out just to get the ball down the field. The receiver, though, you got to give him a lot of credit, Jeff. He comes back to the football and makes a play for his quarterback.
Doug Coleman's got some offers from Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss. Went to the Mississippi State camp and really turned some heads as a cornerback. That might be his future position in college. Again on the run, this time Scott throws it away. You never know with him. You got to wait to make sure that ball goes out of bounds, because on that last play, I thought he was just going to throw it away.
Well, and the one thing that Scotlandville is doing well is they're taking away his first options. You're wondering why is Lindsey Scott extending the play so long, running around? Well, because those first couple of options, those 5 to 10-yard routes, just aren't open. Scotlandville's jumping those routes, and they've got deep coverage in the secondary, and so they're not open, and Lindsey's having to buy himself extra time to make something happen with his legs.
2nd and 10 at the 47. Terry Sullivan in the backfield along with Lindsey Scott. And Sullivan will get a rare carry here, and that's why he hasn't been running the ball much. Scotlandville has stopped him. Reggie Cleveland having a huge game tonight. Give him a tackle for a loss as he loses a yard, and another 3rd and long coming up for the Broncos.
Yeah, good look at Terry Sullivan. They cannot get this running game going, and here you can see Cleveland coming up, making a big play. He's been all over this field tonight.
It's almost like he started in the backfield. He was in the backfield that fast.
And he's got a nose for the football. I mean, he's really doing a good job at getting himself in position to make the play.
Trips to the near side. They rush 4 again, and the pressure coming, and he dumps it off, and there's some room to run. A 1st down, and the receiver takes on the defender. Doug Coleman picks it up, tackled by Kelvin Joseph. But another 3rd down and long conversion for the Zachary Broncos. Looks like this offense is starting to hum now.
Well, they are, and they're starting to. This is what I thought they were going to have to do. If they can't get that running game going, they're going to have to complete some of these short routes. You know, you're not getting the home run ball every time, but it's enough to get, 5, 7, 10 yards and move the chains.
Scott will run it on the quarterback draw, and he's got room to the 20, 15, 10. Splits the defense. Touchdown! 2nd TD run of the night for Lindsey Scott.
Well, I tell you what, this is the 2nd time we've seen it tonight. When he makes up his mind that he's going to run the football, I mean, he is direct with it, and it's north and south. It's quick, and you can see here Cleveland getting pressure on the edge, and he was flushed out the pocket. He just turns into a running back, and he's so strong. You can see the lower body strength. Hitting him up top is not going to do it, and he's able to get himself in the end zone. 2nd rushing touchdown for him tonight.
And the folks in Syracuse are smiling after that one. That was sweet.
You know what they're thinking? Donovan McNabb.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Well, he's coming back home.
So Lindsey Scott, 2 TD runs tonight. And Zachary now leads it by 8, 20-12 on the Cox Ford game of the week. Lewis, play action fake, zips it over the middle, wide open. That's Torres Williams. And Williams is inside the 5. Touchdown. No flags.
Yeah, there is a flag back there.
Where?
There's one in the backfield.
Oh, there it is at the 33-yard line.
I'm wondering if it's a not sure what it was, but I tell you what, it was blown coverage. That's exactly what it was. I was looking to see if there was a late hit. I didn't see after Levi released the football.
I think it is because they're talking with Robert Valdez.
Yeah.
So,
a roughing the pass or something of that nature. But I tell you what, that was blown coverage, complete blown coverage by the Broncos secondary.
So that was the roughing the passer call. So the touchdown play. How many big plays have we seen on 3rd down here tonight and 4th down? Remember, one of Lindsey Scott's TD runs was on 4th down.
Well, and when you spread the field out, you think, you're Zachary, you're starting to settle in, and you've got things kind of covered. But, I mean, you spread the field out. There's so many athletes that can get into space, and this time, it was Simmons able to get out there. Blown coverage and
this to tie the game and diving, trying to get the football over the goal line, and he did. What a play!
Wow, this is just a headsy play and a fortunate play that he didn't fumble it. Levi Lewis, not a big guy, but he reaches the football over the plane and obviously couldn't see it from here. The line judge said it broke the plane, but there is a flag down.
Flag on the play.
The 2-point conversion's good. So I guess that's going to offset the 15-yard penalty previously that was called against Zach. Well, no, there's been 2 on Zachary, right? Yeah. So
it hasn't been clean after touchdowns have been scored. There's been a lot of personal fouls on touchdowns here.
Let's look at the touchdown pass again. Just a strike here to Torres Williams, who was wide open.
Yeah, I mean, he was free and able to break a tackle, big guy there, and get it in the end zone and put Scotlandville right back in this one.
So Levi Lewis has a touchdown, 2 touchdown passes, one to Chris Johnson, another one to Torres Williams, both of them 55 yards if I'm correct on that. So now they're going to be able to kick the football off at the 45-yard line of Zachary. So I would think we might see another. We've seen an onside kick. We've seen kind of a squib kick that almost resulted in a turnover. We may see something here. Well, this game has lived up to the hype so far, Jason.
Yeah, we knew there was going to be a lot of points scored. It actually, when the opening kickoff jitters were out there, they were not able to get their offensive going, but they're definitely in full cylinder now.
Scotlandville looking to try to pin Zachary back, but a nice return out to the 27-yard line. The Zachary folks wanting a flag there at the end, but they're not going to get it. And so it's going to be 1st down and 10 now for the Broncos. 3:50 to the 25-yard line. To Quincy Jones on the tackle for Scotlandville.
Well, my prediction before the game, this one was going to be in the 40s. We're at the midpoint of that right now, and also said it might come down to which team can get that late stop at the end of the game, and we'll see.
And it's been filled with big plays. We haven't really seen the grinding kind of drive, 3 yards in a cloud of dust with these 2 teams. And there was all kind of movement before the snap.
Yeah, it's going to be offsides on Zachary. They look like they jumped there.
And the snap between the quarterback and the center has been an issue tonight for Zachary. So 1st down and 15 now for the Broncos. Coach Brewerton probably saying, man, how was that guy so wide open last point?
Yeah. And then you walk down to your defensive coordinator and you ask the same question.
All right, they're going to keep it here as Lindsey Scott makes a couple men miss, and then he gets sandwiched at the 24-yard line. So now it's 2nd down and 11 after a run of just 4 yards for Scott.
Well, and I get the feeling here, kind of backed up down in their own territory. You know, Brewerton feels to some degree fortunate to have be in a tie football game the way they started. Of course, they've settled in, and I think he's going to be fairly safe with this football. He doesn't want to give Scotlandville a chance with only a few minutes left in the half.
2nd down and 11. Scott rolling away from the pressure and off the hands of the receiver, White. 3rd and 11, but the way tonight is gone, this is right where Zachary wants it. 3rd down and 11.
And that's the route that's going to be open, I think, the majority of the game for Zachary. That little drag route, that intermediate route, right in the middle of that zone. And, you know, I think that's going to be there for Zachary. Look for that play more in the second half.
Just over 3 minutes to go. Robert Valdez's team 5-0 after a great run at West St. John. We were talking about Lindsey Scott's father earlier, who played in the CFL. He was a star player at Baker High School. Lindsey Scott Sr., quarterback / running back. Scott, a little inside handoff here, trying to catch Scotlandville off guard, but the Hornets, who floated the ball so well, able to recover quickly. Darrell Moses Jr., along with DJ Williams, and that's 4th down, and Zachary is going to have to punt the football.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, I thought that Brewerton would probably play it relatively conservative. Don't want to make any mistakes back here in their own territory. Going to have to punt the football, but at the end of the day, I mean, with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in this game, I mean, in this half, that's an eternity. I mean, these teams can score in 20, 30 seconds, so you know, there's plenty of time you know, for Scotlandville on the clock.
I tell you what, this game, it's either been boom or bust, right?
Yeah.
Either 3 and out offensively, or you hit a big play and score a touchdown.
Well, and that's because the one thing that's been missing out of this football game, which both of them seemingly wanted to do from the start, was get the running game going.
Neither of them have.
But there's been no running game except from the quarterback position. So you're going to see a ton of rushing yards in the stat line, but that's because the quarterbacks have escapability and can pick it up on their own. But in terms of rushing yards from the running backs, I think it's going to be very little.
Other than Trenton Charles' touchdown run for Scotlandville, the 1st and the 9th, there's been nothing else when it comes to any kind of yardage by a running back. So on the punt is Martel Fontenot. He's averaging 30 yards a punt. His first punt was a short one that resulted or led up to that Trenton. There's a low snap. He's able to handle it, though. Good punt, though. And then DJ Williams got out of the way at the last second, and the ball rolls at the 28-yard line where it's down. So 2:39 left to go before halftime, and we get to see Levi Lewis back out there again, who already has 2 touchdown passes tonight. That's 11 touchdown passes for the junior.
Yeah, and I want to at least give credit to Martel Fontenot on that last play. That was a low snap. He did a great job of scooping that punt, getting off a great punt, as you mentioned, and, you know, pinning Scotlandville back. So good job, good concentration by Fontenot on the punt.
Brand new turf here at Zachary, and it's beautiful, and a true hop there to the punter.
Yeah, that probably helps.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. You're right.
Levi Lewis, the QB. Trenton Charles, just a sophomore, right behind him. And Lewis keeps it. Lewis running in between the tackles and then got slammed back. Only maybe a pickup of 2 or so. Making the tackle was Herb Cummings, a 5'10" junior linebacker. The defensive line is really the strength of the Zachary defense. And they were anticipating Scotlandville to throw the football here. They knew that their weakness this season has been giving up the long touchdown pass, and Zachary has given up 2 of them tonight. 2nd down and 8. Play action fake. Lewis He's going deep again, and his man is wide open. This is Chris Johnson again, and he beats the defender into the end zone for another Scotlandville touchdown.
Well, and that was Braylon Jones again. We talked about, he was converted this week to defensive back, and, he's one of the better athletes on this team, and they needed to put some of their best athletes at the defensive back position. But again, if you look here on the replay, Braylon Jones got beat very early in this route, and then Levi Lewis knows he can make that throw. But
wow.
It's just, it wasn't even close. He was beat very early in the route. He didn't pick it up, and, you can't give it to him that easy.
Second time tonight, Lewis and Johnson have connected. Lewis, 3 TD passes. Scotlandville calls a timeout. They want to talk about it. They have regained the lead late here in the second quarter, 26-20. Chris Johnson, by the way, Tulane, Southern Miss, La Tech, some of the schools looking at him, but tonight he looks like a guy that Zachary has no answer for.
Well, Jeff, I'll say it like this. With a name like Chris Johnson, he's got some speed, okay?
Yeah.
Chris Johnson, that's just a great – we know what the other Chris Johnson can do, but this one is showing you what he's capable of and his speed. And, that's why those schools are very interested in him, because he can create that separation, and then he's got great hands, able to haul it in.
Robert Valdez said that Levi Lewis kind of reminded him of a little Michael Vick. Yeah, both left-handers.
Yeah, now that you say that, but obviously probably not the height that Michael Vick. The only thing that, he's a little bit shorter. So
look at the numbers Johnson has put up. That was heading into tonight. That average is now, it's a little bit higher than 15. He's had 2 big touchdown catches. All right, the 2-point conversion, pump fake, and Lewis just lofts one up there, and trying to make an Odell Beckham type catch there was Johnson. That one is not in his repertoire, or at least it wasn't there that time. But still.
Not yet. Not yet. But he had to climb the ladder for that one. Levi was under a lot of pressure. But, the other thing, too, is you still got to give credit to Levi to where only Chris Johnson could potentially make a play on that football.
Well, while we have a second here, we want to thank Louisiana Lift for their support of this telecast. Specializing in customer service, equipment, rental, parts, and training. Louisiana Lift has been serving its customers since 1980. You can check them out online at lalift.com or call their Baton Rouge area office, 753-5700. That is Kirk Robinson handling things tonight behind the end zone.
Beautiful night to be up on the left. When you get deeper into the season, you start to see him in the coats and the.
Actually, for a person that's afraid of heights, it's never a beautiful night to be in the lift. For me, anyways.
I thought you were going to say being from Chicago. I love that cold weather. I can't wait for it, Jeff. Yeah. You're right. I like the walls around me. I like
solid ground.
Yeah.
Solid ground where I don't see 20 feet below. All right, good, decent kickoff here. Returnable, though, from the 11. And, shut down at the 22-yard line. Zachary has been really good on kickoff coverage. Tyson Hives making a tackle. I wish LSU was this good on kickoff coverage.
Yeah, that'd be good. And look, we mentioned, in Zachary's last series, they punted the ball with about 3 minutes left. That's an eternity. Scotlandville's already scored, and Zachary's still got 1:43 left on this clock. So, I expect with the senior quarterback, the Syracuse commit, that this playbook is still going to be fairly wide open, down a touchdown, and they're going to try to get down this field and put some more points up.
4-man rush, but no one close to Scott. So he winds up and throws, going deep, hits his man in stride. How about this? It's a video game tonight. Doug Coleman.
Well, this is the type of football game we expected, and you have it. As I told you, from that first touchdown from Charles, I said, let the track meet begin, and it really has not slowed down. And I'll tell you what, that was pretty good coverage there at the beginning by Bryce, and he just didn't stay with the play. Douglas Coleman just eventually ran by him. Lindsey Scott's going to show you his arm strength. I don't know if we'll pick this up mid-route, but the defensive back is right there in a position to make the play. But when the ball goes in the air, that's when the separation is created and the big play there.
So after a 68-yard touchdown pass, there's a 77-yard touchdown pass between Lindsey Scott and Doug Coleman, who had a touchdown catch last week on 5 receptions. His long this season was 71. Well, they just eclipsed it there with 77 yards.
Well, and, here goes that stat reel, that whole stat reel by Lindsey Scott. He's got 2 on the ground rushing the ball. He's now got a bomb through the air. And, when you look in the stat lines and see how he accumulates so many yards, both rushing the football and throwing it, it's a good example right there.
The extra point was good. So Lindsey Scott and Levi Lewis are putting on a show here tonight. There's a look at Lindsey Scott, who has a couple of touchdowns running, and now he's got a touchdown pass.
The only thing I'm wondering is if our little scoreboard on TV can hold 3 digits. I don't know.
I don't know if we're going to get there, but who knows? The way this one's going, the scoreboard is getting a workout, that's for sure.
But again, it's the big plays, though, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's not that's what each team, each of these defenses, and they wanted to guard against it, but it's just phenomenal athletes on the offensive side of the football making big plays.
Fontenot's kick going to be taken at the 5-yard line. And, a lot of room to run. And not many Zachary Broncos there. Big-time return here. As that is Kelvin Joseph, I believe. And did he get into the end zone?
He's in the end zone. He's in.
Are they saying he's down at the 1?
Oh, no. Here goes the judge. I had a good angle here, Jeff. He's in the end zone. You'll see it on the replay.
95 yards on the return for Kelvin Joseph. And just like that, Scotlandville, I don't know. I think they did bring him down at the 1.
Let's see. Here goes the replay. And you can just see here when Kelvin Joseph sees this hole, bam, he's going right down and gets to the outside. It's a great cut. And continues to break tackles. And here's where, let's see if we can pick it up, getting down, see him zooming in. But watch that right foot. I thought that right foot right here goes on the right side of that pylon. Watch right here, Jeff. See how it kicks the pylon? So I think that's a touchdown with the way that right foot kicks the pylon.
The way they got it at the 3-yard line. I mean, I never saw so they got him down actually at the 3, but where they have the ball marked at is where you would attempt a 2-point conversion.
Well, let's see if we can see. What we may not be able to pick up is the left foot if it went down much earlier about the 3-yard line. But that right foot definitely kicks the pylon. That's why I was thinking it was a touchdown. Just a tremendous effort here. And here's where we need to be looking at the left foot. I didn't see the left foot go out.
I think that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's a touchdown. That's what we believe, so.
Yeah.
There is a mass confusion here in the press box still whether that was a touchdown or not. Really no signal at all from the referee.
All right, so, Jeff, look in your crystal ball and tell me when do you think high school will start having replay? How many years down the road do you think we are?
If you'd only would have it in the state championship game. That would be the only way.
But it's coming. It's coming. Trust me.
Maybe. Maybe.
I don't think with technology improving and how fast you can do real time. Here we go. Our camera crew doing a great job.
He's clearly
getting a look at it. Yeah. And I'm blind, and I saw that, Jeff. I saw that.
The eagle-eyed Jason DeQueer.
Yeah. So, you know what I was getting ready to say? Both of these offenses only need one play to score, and actually they don't need any plays. They can take it from the kickoff.
I kind of remember when there was just a little bit over 3 minutes left to go saying, well, maybe we'll see one more score, and I think we've seen 4 during that period.
Yeah. Scotlandville punted it at the 3-minute mark, and we've seen 2 touchdowns.
Swing out the Charles, the spin move, and into the end zone.
And we still got a minute 15, a minute 14 left. We might see 2 more possessions before it's over with.
Well, for those that grew up in the Tecmo Bowl age of video games, this is very reminiscent of what you would see in Tecmo Bowl.
Can I change my prediction about the score in the 40s? I meant the first half. It would be in the 40s.
All right, 1:14 left to go before half. Don't go away because we might see a couple more touchdowns.
Shall we remind the viewers this is not the Big 12? This is just high school. But that's how they play in the Big 12. I mean, 63-50 scores.
This is very reminiscent of a Big 12 game. So Scotlandville will tee it up here one more time. DeQuincy Jones will kick it. Zachary looks like they'll have, well, based on the scoreboard, if that's accurate, which I don't necessarily think it is, 3 timeouts left, but we'll see. DeQuincy Jones' kick will be taken at the 11. And here's Doug Coleman. Coleman's got a blocker in front of him, but Scotlandville brings him down at the 31-yard line. One of the men there, Daryl Moses, wrapping him up.
And you got to be preaching on the sidelines. Look, don't get beat deep. How many times do you think the coaches are saying that on the sideline? Don't get beat deep. If they have to give in a place, it would be to the running backs, but they're shutting that down. And then the other place is, of course, Lindsey Scott can beat you with his legs. We've seen him do that twice tonight.
1st and 10 at the 31. Scott will hand it off. Sullivan, and conservative play call there with a minute left. Again, there's just not much running room tonight, though, for Terry Sullivan, who came into this game with 476 yards rushing and ran for 74 yards last week against Dutchtown. And Coach Brewerton told me that was the hardest 74 yards he's seen a high school football player ever run. 2nd and 10, Scott will try to find a running lane here. Stays on his feet until he runs out of bounds, and then a flag very late at the 38-yard line. Trey Shropshire is maybe the guilty party here for Zachary.
Hey, get over here.
Hour 45 in the play zone.
Don't you start that bullshit.
Wow. I'm guessing we'll get a call here soon. There's a personal foul in there. That's what I was wondering. I think that's what was taking a lot of the time. And obviously they'll accept the personal foul.
So now it's 2nd down and long, and I mean long. It's
well, they can throw long in this one.
2nd down and 26 at the 15-yard line. You want to make sure you don't make a mistake here, though. You don't want a pick 6 or something like that. So a quick little pass, and it's caught. That's, I believe, White steps out of bounds to 28-yard line, so they make up about 13 yards of it.
Well, this is an interesting, very interesting call here because it's third and I guess about 13.
Say just an inside,
but
handoff and get out of here.
The problem is if you don't pick it up and Scotlandville calls a timeout, they only need, as we've seen, a couple seconds to score.
Scott will throw, and it's caught by Shropshire. Shropshire may get the first down here, and he does. Good tackle by Marquise Britton, and a nice play there. Shropshire, 6'3", 175 pounds. A nice run after the catch.
Well, and that play is big for a number of reasons, but most importantly, even if Zachary doesn't score here, it will likely prevent Scotlandville from getting the football back in this half. And a good play by Shropshire getting to the outside and getting that first down on a big 3rd down conversion.
And with the ball at the 44, Scott could throw this one very close to the goal line. So Let's see if maybe he rolls out and tries to heave one down there. Well, quarterback draw. Scott following a couple of blockers, bounces it to the outside, and he runs out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Scott falls down. There was some contact there at the end. 6 seconds left. The field goal kicker for Zachary is Ashton Bastido, who's long is 34 yards. This would be a 51-yard field goal. So I think they'll take a shot to the end zone here, Jason, with just 6 seconds left.
Well, and I saw the Zachary kicker, or one of the kickers, that had a leg from this distance. He was actually hitting them from about 50 yards before the game. But I think you're right, Jeff. I think you're going to put the ball in the hands of your best player, Lindsey, see if he can make something happen. He can clearly reach the end zone from here, probably throw it on the line, and you're going to be looking for Coleman or Shropshire are going to be your two guys that he's really going to be targeting.
Let's take a look at the district standings coming into tonight's game. There was a game played last night, the first game in District 4-5A. And how about Live Oak and Brett Beard getting win number 1 for Live Oak. First ever win over Denham Springs as they defeated the Yellow Jackets 16-14. So Coach Beard and Live Oak 4-2 overall, now 1-0 in the district. But look at how good this district is. Walker's 5-0, Scotlandville 5-0. Zachary ranked number 7 in Class 5A. And don't forget about Sid Edwards and the Central Wildcats. Central taking on Walker tonight is the other game in District 4-5A. For many years, Jason, the premier 5A district was with Catholic and Dutchtown. Well, I think times are changing.
Oh, no, they have changed.
All right, 6 seconds, quick pass, and it's caught. And the receiver, R.J. Newton, knocked out of bounds. 29-yard line, 2 seconds left.
Not a bad decision. They're going to let the field goal kicker come out now and make a kick. As I mentioned, he was actually connecting from about 50 yards. So you pick up a little bit, move it in, and it looks like it's going to be, about a 45-yard, 46-yard field goal attempt.
Again, 34 is as long, and it's going to be a 46-yard field goal from the near hash mark.
The thing you're going to be looking for here is that he doesn't drive this football. He doesn't kick it too low. He takes his time, goes through his routine, and gets a good kickoff here.
Not much wind. High snap. The kick, is it long enough? That's the question. No, it's not. And Scotlandville cannot return it. This is not college football or the NFL. Once that ball goes into the end zone, it's a touchback. So that's it. Wow, what an explosive first half. Scotlandville leading Zachary 34-27 in a very explosive game here tonight between these two teams. Looks like we are going to have a chance to talk with Scotlandville head coach Robert Valdez, but quick recap of the scoring. It started with a Trenton Charles 32-yard touchdown for Scotlandville. Tywan Bearden then picked up a fumble for Zachary and ran 32 yards for a score. Can you believe, Jason, our score after the first quarter was just 7-6.
Yeah, so much for that defensive battle, right? But we knew these teams were going to settle in and put up some points. They have that capability, and you saw points all over the field.
Scotlandville trying to improve to 6-0 on the season. They lead Zachary, the 7th-ranked team in Class 5A, by 7. We'll be back after this, and when we come back, it is going to be the Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance halftime show on the Cox 4 Game of the Week.
You're watching Classic High School Football on YurView. I'm Chris Harris, and it's halftime of a 5A game from 2013 featuring two schools from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Zachary and Scotlandville. It's really hard to believe what we just saw. 48 points scored in the second quarter, 28 of them by Scotlandville. We were watching a football game, and a track meet broke out. 34-27 at intermission, Scotlandville with the lead. The second half is coming up, and it promises to be just as exciting. We'll see you again after the third quarter.
34-27 is our score, and with that kind of score at halftime, you could bet there were some first half highlights. So let's try to show you as many as we possibly can before the start.
And they'll hand it off.
And Scotlandville got it all started quickly on this touchdown run by Trenton Charles. That was the best running play by a running back all night.
Yeah, that's right. There hadn't been a lot of yards by a running back, but here goes another quarterback who knows how to run the ball.
That's Lindsey Scott, the first of a couple of TD runs for him tonight. Here's a long touchdown pass between Levi Lewis to Chris Johnson. Those two connected twice in the first half on touchdown passes. Lindsey Scott again doing it with his legs. This was a 34-yard touchdown run as he shows the explosion to get past the Scotlandville secondary. And then Lewis wide open to Torres Williams, who is able to beat the Zachary defense into the end zone. More highlights. Lewis again, and here's Chris Johnson again as he beats the Zachary defense, and he is just too fast into the end zone. That was 77 yards there, and then Lindsey Scott, that was 68. This is 77 to Doug Coleman, who makes the grab in stride. And then we got one more for you, a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Kelvin Joseph.
You know, Jeff, here's that touchdown we were looking at to see if his foot gets in. The only play that didn't make it was the one defensive play of the half where Zachary actually scored a touchdown on defense.
All right, Zachary gets the ball to begin the second half, and there is a flag down on this return that got up to about the 30-yard line. That was Coleman on the return. In on the tackle for Scotlandville, Jalen Pitts. And looks like Zachary will start deep in their own territory. So the score was just 7-6 after the first quarter. Scotlandville erupts for 28 points. And for Zachary, they scored 20 points in an electrifying second quarter that had people on their feet here at Zachary High School.
Well, and look, you look at both of these offenses and you say, well, they're very similar because they spread it out and run this sort of wide open style offense. But actually, they do it a little differently. Zachary, although they run from the spread, they want to be a little bit more methodical. I know Coach Burton, I played with him. He wants to get that running game going in the trenches. I fully expect him not to abandon the running game and get that going. But on the flip side of the football, Scotlandville loves to keep that high-octane Oregon-type offense going.
1st and 10 at the 18-yard line for Lindsey Scott. And Scott will hand it off to Sullivan. Again, still no running game at all for Zachary when it comes from Terry Sullivan as Scotlandville has taken him out of this game. The offensive line just has not been able to open up any holes for him. Malik Grant coming off the bottom of the pile for Scotlandville.
And, you know, he wants to establish that running game because, you know, it also allows you to take Scotlandville's offense out of rhythm. If you can get some first downs going and get a drive going, that offense is sitting on the sideline, and maybe you can disrupt their rhythm a little bit.
Central has scored again. They lead Walker 34-13 as Scott runs it around the left end, puts his head down, still keeps the feet going, and he is knocked down at the 25-yard line. He's 2 yards. We'll call it a short 3. No, we'll call it 2 yards. 3rd down and 2 coming up for the Broncos.
Well, you can see here, look, they're not lining up as fast as Scotlandville. They don't huddle, but you can see it's a little bit slower getting the play in, getting it set, a little more methodical, and they're going to try to make sure that they have a good play dialed up here to try to convert on about a 3rd and 2 and get this drive going.
Lindsey Scott has been successful on a lot of the short passes so far in this one. Looks like a bit of an audible here as now Sullivan moves to the right of Scott. And rolling out to the right as Scott throws, and it is caught. Nice grab in front of the defender, and the receiver stays on his feet up to the 48-yard line. Nice grab by Shiron White. Looked like a Scotland, and there is a flag, though, so let's see. No, or is that just a shoe on the ground?
Yeah, I think that was
flag.
Some towel or something coming
out. It was a Scotlandville golden towel. That should be illegal.
Yeah, we got enough flags flying around. But I tell you what, this is one heck of a throw and even a better catch because you see him coming around. They gave him the option to run it or get his guy out in the flat, and he's really zips that in there. Defensive back closed in on it, made a great play. But if you don't tackle these skill players, you can see he almost got free and took it the distance.
From the 47 now for the Broncos as Scott will keep it, run straight ahead for about 3, tackled by DeAndre Williams, who has 25 tackles on the season. DeAndre Williams, 6'3", 250 pounds, number 6 for Scotlandville. He's got the frame to definitely play in the Southeastern Conference.
Well, you can see already it feels like Bruton, again, has come out with the intention to slow this football game down. I mean, they're eating up a lot of time on the play clock before they get the next play in. They're trying to run the ball either between Sullivan or Scott.
Scott will run here. Scott still on his feet and taken down at the 45-yard line. And once again, DeAndre Williams there with the tackle. Some of the schools looking at Williams right now, Southern Tech, Tulane, and Missouri, looking at number 6 for Scotlandville.
And you can see, look, if they can't get the running game going with Sullivan, that's, I think, 2 or 3 called runs from the quarterback position on this drive, and this is really the first real methodical drive that we've seen all game.
Well, 27 points given up tonight by Scotlandville, the most they've given up this season. 3rd down and 2. Here comes the pressure. They pick it up, and the pass is complete. That is White inside the 40, pushed out of bounds by Bryce Beekman. And you're right, a nice methodical drive here for Zachary. They've already chewed up 3 minutes and 23 seconds of the clock in this 3rd quarter.
Yeah, a whole different pace to, and you can see that it's clear that that's what the game plan was for the Broncos during the half. And, looking for a lot of this underneath stuff, sort of this dink and dunk stuff, 3 and 4 yards here. Good drive thus far.
And now getting a chance to run it, but not much there for Terry Sullivan. Maybe a yard, that was it. Was that Reggie Cleveland with a great open field tackle? I believe it was. Only a yard or a gain of 1. Caleb Carter also there defensively for Scotlandville.
Yeah, they've tried that play multiple times with Sullivan, and they've just, Scotlandville is keyed in on it. They also know that Brewerton, you get a good look at him there, wants to get this running game going. 2nd
down and 9. Now Scott stops, throws, heaves it towards the end zone. A leaping grab. Did he come down with it?
Wow.
Yes, he did. That is Trey Shropshire. A nice grab inside the 5 to the 3-yard line. Pickup of 35 yards.
Boy, this receiving core for for Zachary is just unbelievable. Actually, the ball is a little underthrown. He had him beat. Shropshire comes back to the ball, catches it at its highest point. Most importantly, well covered there, able to hang on to the football, not let it hit the turf. That's one heck of a catch.
Marquise Britton had great coverage on that play, but a great catch by Shropshire. And now this is Sullivan into the end zone. Touchdown, Broncos.
Well, that's one heck of a drive that Zachary put together. You saw the full package there. You saw the running game, although getting it going with Lindsey Scott's feet, but then a good throw towards the end of this drive. Better catch there by Shropshire. And then Mr. Sullivan, we've been calling his name. Wasn't a long run, but he was able to get himself into the end zone. Zachary showed you the full package there, their full offensive package on that first drive. A real statement drive coming out in the second half.
6th touchdown run of the season for the senior Sullivan, who scored a 26 on his ACT. Really just a complete back for Zachary. Bastido on the extra point try is good, and we are all tied up at 34. After a 4-minute and 9-second drive for Zachary, finished off by the touchdown run by Terry Sullivan. We start at 34-34 when we come back. 34-34 is our score. 7:51 left to go after a very impressive drive to begin the second half for the Zachary Broncos, who will now kick it off back to Scotlandville.
And I see the way he's got this thing teed up. I do not think he's kicking it deep at all. It's going to be maybe one of these sky kicks over here to the left-hand side of the field. But they don't want to kick this ball deep after they saw what happened at the end of that second half.
95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Kelvin Joseph. Bastido with the kick here. And what do we have? We might have an offsides penalty. Everybody was really close up to the line. I think illegal formation.
Offsides.
No, they called offsides.
Broncos.
I think I heard this correctly in the press box as we were slamming down chicken fingers and catfish.
Yeah, thanks to Zachary. I appreciate that. Good hospitality here up in the press box.
That's just added to the great pregame meal I had from Podnas.
Yeah, right.
I believe someone said that Scotlandville has not had a penalty in this game. Does that sound about right? There might have been.
There has been a lot. Well, I don't know. It seemed like there was one on their.
Well, if they have, it's 1 or 2.
Yes.
I mean,
but I thought that they were penalized on one of their touchdowns where they had to go back or either kick deep. But that was the only one though that I remember.
Yeah. But these referees have let these two teams play. I mean, we haven't had holding or pass interference or any of that kind of stuff. All right, here we go again with Mr. Joseph. And Joseph gets out across the 40, well, maybe to the 40. That's about it. And so Scotlandville and Levi Lewis will come back out on the field. Yeah, he did get across the 40. So they mark it at the 42. Let's go down to Jessica.
Well, Jeff, unfortunately, Scotlandville will be taking the field for the rest of the game without number 55, Roderick Thomas, as he is left in the ambulance for a knee injury. That's junior offensive lineman Roderick Thomas.
That's their right tackle who will be out of the game for Scotlandville. And a pass wide open on the far side and a first down. That is Chris Johnson.
Well, and Bruton and the defensive coordinator have come out. We're not going to be beat. I mean, deep. The defensive back was 10 yards off of him even after he caught the football. So they're not going to. They're going to do everything within their power not to let Scotlandville throw another one over the top.
And that's Braylon Jones, who's had a tough night so far tonight, trying to keep up with Chris Johnson. They go right back to him, and it's pitch and catch between Levi Lewis and Chris Johnson, who makes another grab, but he was hit immediately, and he only gets 6 yards that time.
Well, he's forcing Levi Lewis to make the play, to make that throw. I mean, he's 10, 12 yards off of him, that little hitch route, and as long as they're gonna give it to Scotlandville, Valdez is gonna say we'll take it.
They'll run it here with Trenton Charles and maybe a yard. That's it. Well, these run defenses have been really good in this game. That's Darrell Brown, a senior on that defensive line, and as I mentioned earlier, that's really been a flag at the end of all that. But I was just about ready to say the defensive line has been the strength of this Zachary defense that has allowed a bunch of points in this season. They gave up 34 last week to Dutchtown. They gave up 42 to Calvary Baptist in a game seen on ESPNU. Let's get the call. Well, there's a penalty on Scotlandville.
Yeah, I was about to say you were speaking it into existence.
Still remain third down.
In week 1 for Zachary, they scored 56 points when they defeated Wilkinson County in Mississippi, but they gave up 34. The fewest points they have given up in a game this season is 25 to EA when they defeated the Spartans on East Ascension homecoming night. Third down and long now. So a tough situation here for Scotlandville. They got to get to the Zachary 35-yard line, but we have seen big plays on third down and long tonight. We've seen big plays, period, but it seems like more of them have come on third down.
Yeah, and you better believe that Zachary secondary is going to be playing it safe, looking for the chains, making sure they're keeping the receivers in front of them.
Lewis will throw it. Has time to throw. Nice pocket for him. He'll heave it up. He'll go deep. And it's caught. It should have been intercepted, but somehow gets over to David Armstead. Wow, what a play.
Well, it looked like Coach Bruton was going to blow a gasket there because Armstead actually ended up getting behind. Watch if you can pick it up on the replay. Good job on Braylon Jones' side with the double move. He actually keyed in on that. But he gets behind him. You can see in the screen there, Jeff, he was behind him. Zachary was able to make the deflection, but then bounces right back into his hands.
Fine. Brewerton's got to be saying we finally defended a long ball well, and we couldn't make the play.
Yeah.
So now, we haven't said this too often, but Scotlandville is in the Gary Lewis red zone, Gary Lewis Properties red zone. after Zachary got into the Gary Lewis Properties red zone. We haven't been able to say our red zone sponsors
they've been just flying over the red zone. No sense in coming down in that area.
Only a couple yards on that carry. Well, maybe 3 to the 13-yard line. Halfway through in this third quarter. First possession of the second half for Scotlandville. Quick throw out into the flat. And this is Armstead, made a nice move to get at, I think he's got enough for the first down before a couple of Broncos brought him down. Taiwan, Bearden.
And I really like this chess match going on between these two coaches. Both of these coaches are adjusting well on the fly. Why does this play work? Well, the Zachary secondary is 10 and 12 yards down the field. Instead of Scotlandville forcing the issue, they're taking these little routes here, these little wide receiver screens and coming out the backfield. They're just taking what the Zachary defense is giving them. So great adjustment so far by both of these coaches at half.
P.J. Cannon also in the tackle there, but first down for Scotlandville. First and goal, and the pitch. And trying to get in. That's Reggie Cleveland getting a carry to the 3-yard line. Little toss pitch out of Les Miles this play.
I was about to say, I mean, you talk about polar opposites. When I saw that pitch, that typically comes out of the eye. But look, Scotlandville's got a great offensive line. Obviously, they lost one of them, and they feel that they can power this thing in there.
Another pitch to Cleveland, but Zachary there waiting for him defensively. He was able to at least move the pile ahead for a yard, but in the backfield was Aaron Celestine for Zachary. And it's third down and goal from the 1-yard line here is Scotlandville trying to power this in.
Well, I would go away from that. I mean, with Levi Lewis and his legs, his ability, I'd spread this thing out, put him in the shotgun, and give him options with the football.
Or maybe a pass to Chris Johnson, who has got single coverage on the outside, and just throw one up there and see if he can go up and get it.
But they're still in this tight formation.
Lewis parking out the signals, juggles the snap, pitches it to Cleveland, and he's going to lose yards. Zachary's defense comes up with the stand that they needed. Firing through there looked to be Keenan Tate. And that was a big play, the play that Zachary definitely needed tonight. Actually, was that Donovan Perkins, I think, on the tackle, not Keenan Tate.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to second guess an offensive-minded coach who's got 34 points by half, but I disagree with going to this I formation. That's just not what they're accustomed to doing, not as comfortable. I would have put Levi Lewis at least in one or two of those plays in the spread formation, giving him a chance to take advantage of the play himself.
They're going to go for it on 4th and goal at the 6, but they call timeout to Scotlandville. So 3:13 left to go in this third quarter. We're all tied up at 34. Last night, Live Oak, a great victory over Denham Springs, and Jessica is standing by with Live Oak's coach, Brett Beard.
That's exactly right, Jeff. Big game tonight, big game last night was Live Oak and Denham. Coach came out on top 16-14. Tell me how big that win was for your team.
Well, you don't realize how big it is till you turn around there at the end when we pick the ball off and you can see the kids crying on the sidelines. You can see people in the stands crying. I didn't realize how big it was for the Watson community in Live Oak like it was. The kids are getting better every day. We were physical and just had a chance to win a ball game there late and executed.
Now, you talked about the kids beginning to be physical. Each week you're putting up huge numbers. What is finally clicking for them?
Well, we told them going into it, we got to match their physicality, and we've got to be more physical week in and week out because we don't have a lot of speed, so we've got to negate that by being physical. And that's what we're preaching, to be tougher, to be men, and just, get hit, keep getting up, and just enjoy the ride.
Now, next week you face Walker, and last time I checked, they were down 28-13. What are you looking to do with them?
Well, we just got to turn around, and, this is going to be a big week for us. We feel like if we can get to 5-5 or 5 wins, that'll give us a chance to get in the playoffs, which is what we want. And so that'll be our 5th win, a chance for our 5th win. And that's really how we're going to sell it to move on from Denham.
Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank y'all.
Jeff, fill us back in.
Levi Lewis on 4th and goal fires a strike to David Armstead, and Scotlandville has regained the lead.
Well, and this is what I wanted to see him do on 1st and 2nd and 3rd down. Put it in this guy's hand. I mean, he can make these types of plays. Great route there, and I mean, he fires that right on the money. And, you know, that's what Scotlandville is used to doing. The other thing is, I don't disagree at all with going for it. You might be saying, hey, why don't you kick the field goal? Well, we've seen they've had trouble making extra points. So you don't have a lot of confidence in trying to kick a field goal. So I think it's obviously the right play call, and they're going to line up and go for 2.
3rd touchdown catch of the season for Armstead. The 2-point conversion is no good as the pass sails through the hands of Tyson Hines. But Scotlandville regains the lead. They're up by 6 with 3:09 left to go in the 3rd quarter, and an exciting one here on the Cox 4 Game of the Week. David Searles of Crown Trophy invite you to stop by and see the hottest new item, Yeti coffee mugs. Ready for engraving with your logo. Great gifts and great service at Crown Trophy on Sherwood Forest Boulevard in Baton Rouge.
A Yeti coffee mug.
Yeah.
Man, I bet you that thing's nice. I mean, if it's anything like those coolers.
1st and 10 for Levi Lewis and the Scotlandville Hornets. 1:22 left to go in the 3rd quarter. We have not seen the spread or the difference as far as the points go to being a 2-possession game. It's always been a 1-possession game as far as the difference in scoring between the two teams.
You know, and I was mentioning earlier to you, one of the things that this game may come down to, I said, hey, which team can make a stop at the end? But Scotlandville's had trouble converting their extra points, and so are their 2-point conversions, and you can see the score is 6. So, you know, it could come down to, you know, those missed extra points or missed 2-point conversions.
Just over a minute to go and counting. 1st down play coming up for Levi Lewis. Pistol formation. Now Charles comes right to the right of him. And Charles gets another carry, and Charles is off to the 35-30. Shoved out of bounds just inside the 30-yard line. And now all of a sudden, Scotlandville able to get Trenton Charles involved here.
Yeah, and they got him going earlier on the play before. Is that a flag out there, or is that another one of these towels? I think that might be a flag.
The way Scotlandville is coming back, it looks like it's going to be against them. At the 38-yard line, that flag is sitting.
Well, and I was going to say, while we're making comparisons, you know, when you say Charles and the way he looks and is shifty and is small, you think Jamal Charles.
So that negates the penalty, or the 1st down, I should say. But looks like it's going to be 1st down.
Yeah.
In about 3, maybe, because it's a spot of the foul penalty.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, the fans here at Zachary, and it is packed still. No one is left. They're enjoying this nice night for high school football. A little warmer than last week.
And you better not go get a cold drink or something, because you're going to miss 2 touchdowns. You better stay in your seat.
1st down and 2. Let's see if they maybe take a shot here. No, they're going to go right to Trenton Charles, and big-time hit as he crossed the line of scrimmage, keeping him shy of a 1st down. That was Tywan Bearden. We've been watching Bearden play for a long time, it seems like.
Him and Lindsay, they seem like they've been here forever.
Sullivan a lot.
Yeah. So, but that's a great play by their big captain on the defense, quarterback of the defense, Bearden there, stopping Charles.
So 2nd and 1 as the 3rd quarter is coming to a close. Scotlandville leading it by 6. Chance to go up by 2 possessions. Charles around the right end, and there's a lot of room for him to run, and then he's brought down at the 38-yard line, a gain of about 10 on the final play of the 3rd quarter. The Scotlandville Hornets leading the Zachary Broncos 40-34, and Scotlandville on the move here on the Cox 4 Game of the Week.
It's a tight one in Baton Rouge. Scotlandville clinging to a 40-34 lead over Zachary. Outstanding games from both QBs, Lindsey Scott Jr. of Zachary and Levi Lewis of Scotlandville, both living up to the hype. Scott is now at LSU, where he'll be fighting for the starting job after his freshman year, and Lewis will be starting his freshman year at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. This one goes down to the wire. Enjoy the fourth quarter. Scotlandville and Zachary from October 9th, 2015.
Scotlandville led it at halftime, 34-27. It's now a 40-34 game with Scotlandville moving to football against this tired Zachary defense. Let's send it down to the sidelines, and Jessica Province has a very special guest.
You're right, Jeff, a very special guest, as much of this would not be possible without the principals. I'm joined now by Zachary principal Joe LeBlanc. And Coach, I'm saying Coach, you were a coach at Catholic High School, and you actually coached Coach Brewerton.
I did. Many years ago, Coach Brewerton is 20 years behind me. I actually graduated from Catholic High in 1972. He graduated in 92. Last night we had a 25-year reunion of his team, so he's a pretty special guy. My dad and his dad were best friends in high school. His brother and my brother are best friends. I stood in David's wedding when he got married, so we go back a long ways. It's good to have him here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be nice having somebody with that kind of relationship back on your faculty.
Right. He's like family. He's like a little brother, and it's great to have him here.
Very nice. Now, some of the things that y'all do off the field, some ACT Aspire testing. Tell me a little bit about that.
We just finished, our 9th and 10th graders just finished taking a test that we call the ACT Aspire test. It's a pre-test for the end of the year where we measure where the students are right now in hopes of giving them a very similar test at the end of the year. And that test will tell us how much progress they made over the course of the year and let us know if we're doing our job or not.
Well, Mr. LeBlanc, thank you so much for joining me. We missed a touchdown. We're going to get back up to it.
Let me go back and watch myself, okay?
Jeff.
All right, the 5th touchdown pass of the night for Levi Lewis. And again, for the 3rd time, he connects with Chris Johnson. And it's now 46-34 as Scotlandville goes for 2. Lewis rolling out to his left, fires one into the end zone. Does he hang on to it? No, it's actually ends up being no good. He can't return the 2-point conversion for a score. Let's take a look again at this touchdown pass. Another big play over the top of the Zachary defense.
Yeah, what they were trying to prevent and thinking that they've gotten this situation under control, but there you are getting behind the secondary again, and I think that's might have been Braylon Jones again getting beat for the touchdown, but Levi Lewis doing it again with his arm and showing you how prolific he is through the air.
So for the first time tonight, it's now a 2-possession game. So let's see how Zachary can respond. We know they can score points in bunches, and they're going to have to really get it going now. So 3 touchdown passes to Chris Johnson. The other went to Levi Lewis, and the other one went to David Armstead on that 4th and goal, the last time Scotlandville had it. The Achilles heel for the Zachary team all season has been the defense, and that has proven to be the case here tonight. They just have not been able to come up with enough quality stops, and a lot of big plays by this Hornets offense. The kick by DeQuincy Jones, taken at the 11-yard line. And it's returned by Shropshire. Did he fumble the football? I think he did.
Yeah, that ball's out.
And are they saying he's down, though?
Wow. This is going to be close. Maybe he had, Shropshire's a tall guy. Maybe he had a knee on the ground. But if they've made the call, they're not going to review it. But I tell you what, the way I saw this football come out, I sure thought that he was still not down. Let's see if we can get it here. He never could really get. Oh man,
it's close.
Yeah, I didn't see a knee down. Ooh, that right knee. You just can't see necessarily whether that right knee was down before that ball pops out. Some good shots there.
Jeremy White, the referee, was pretty emphatic that he was down. There was also a penalty on the return, so Zachary is going to start deep in its own end.
Well, and that's fortunate, because if you lose the ball right there, you know, and Scotlandville gets another crack at this, and let's see if we can see where that knee comes. No, that's a fumble. That's a fumble, Jeff.
Woo! Break for Zachary. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
That's a great shot on that last one. Good job to our camera guys zooming in on that deal. All that traffic around him.
First and 10 at the 15. Lindsey Scott will run it straight ahead, gets hammered as he crosses the line of scrimmage, picks up about 3 yards. He was tackled by Scotlandville's Malik Grant.
Well, 11 minutes in this game, still no panic. I mean, Zachary's offense, we've talked a lot about it today, and you can see Scott still running the football. I don't think Brewerton's ready to, abandon his strategy yet and just start taking deep shots down the field. It's way too early for that.
He would like to keep his defense off the field for a little bit, though.
Yes.
Wouldn't mind another grinding drive here and then hope that defense can come up with a stop and then get the ball back with a chance to tie it or win it. Scott's got time to throw here. Now here comes the pressure. He's going to have to make something happen. He's across the 20 and slides down at about the 21-yard line. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 4. Good coverage downfield by the Scotlandville secondary.
Well, it almost looked like he was on a slip and slide.
Yeah.
He started sliding at the 20 and ended up at about the 30.
That new turf down there is fresh. They
brought it back. I know people at home looking like he had a first down, but they brought it back 5 yards because that's where he hit the deck.
Trips to the near side. Shropshire is the wide receiver to the far side. Third down and 5. Rolling out and keeping it is Scott, and he's got the first down and more across the 40 to the 46-yard line.
Wow.
Big play there by your senior quarterback.
And what actually opens this up, Sullivan had not been able to get going, but he was the decoy on that. Watch coming out the backfield. Watch the Scotlandville secondary kind of commit there for that key second. Opens up a big lane there for Lindsey Scott, who knows how to take advantage of it.
That brief pause on the fake handoff to Sullivan, as you said, just opened it up for Scott to pick up the first down.
And it's a great call because they know they've been wanting Sullivan to get going. They've been running it to him and then faking it off of it. Good call there.
And I don't know what happened here. It looks like the center, and that is not Kelton Hollins out there anymore. Remember, he wasn't snapping the football anyways. He's now moved over to guard. Because they got a new center in there for Zachary. And I think he forgot what the snap count was as Roy McKnight snapping the ball. There you look at Coach Valdez. First down and 15 now after the 5-yard penalty. That's been the other thing that's been nipping at Zachary's heels here tonight. A lot of 5-yard pre-snap penalties against the Broncos, and they've had a lot of 1st and 15 situations. So Scott will fling one over to the near side, and it is caught at the 47-yard line. Doug Coleman making the grab. Coleman, he's got offers from Louisiana Tech, Southern Miss. Also LSU taking a look at the 6'1" senior again. He performed very well in a camp in the summer at Mississippi State. And in fact, a lot of people thought maybe, you know what, he might be a better cornerback. Sometimes he lines up at cornerback as well. Second down and 10 as they make up the 5 yards lost on the penalty. Scott will look to throw. Scott now rolling out to the near side, flips one out, and there's his receiver who makes the grab in Scotlandville territory. Another nice grab by Shiron White to the 34-yard line, and that's a gain of 21.
And what's impressive about this throw, we know he has the arm strength, but this one, he puts a little touch on it. He knows he doesn't necessarily need to zip it in. He kind of makes sure he floats it over the defensive back head, and that's what makes Lindsey Scott such a good player, good prospect, and why D1 school like Syracuse is interested in it.
Ball now at the 34-yard line of Scotlandville. Scott surveys the defense. Has a little bit of time, and now the pocket breaks down on him. He's going to have to run and take off. Throws on the run into the end zone. Wide open. Touchdown.
Wow.
Trey Shropshire with the touchdown grab, and Zachary, they're within one possession again.
Well, it doesn't take long. We know they needed to get a score here. Obviously, Shropshire beats his man and brings that ball in. But what keeps this play alive is watch when Lindsey Scott scrambles. His eyes are down the field. Look, he's looking down the field. You see his eyes down the field. That's what makes him good. A lot of quarterbacks would have just tucked the football and taken off with it. But he's still, keeping an eye on his receiving core, able to make that pass, and great play there.
For the extra point, Low snap, and it is through the upright. So now it's a 5-point game. 46-41. First one to 60 wins, Jason?
Yeah. I said 40. We're getting well beyond that mark.
We'll be back after this on the Cox Ford Game of the Week. 46-41 here on the Cox Ford Game of the Week. Scotlandville leading Zachary. Still over 9 minutes to go in this one. Scotlandville's defense, or excuse me, Zachary's defense needs to figure out a way to slow down Scotlandville, make a stop. But let's take a look back at that ITI Technical College scoring drive. 7 plays, 85 yards, 2 minutes and 38 seconds off the clock. Lindsey Scott delivers another touchdown play as he threw it to Trey Shropshire.
Yeah, the first thing that Zachary has to do on defense is they just cannot give up the home run ball. We've talked about that since the beginning of the game, but it's even more important now than ever as this game is winding down in the fourth. So if you can begin to protect against that, and then key in on some of this other stuff, I think they would have a shot at least getting the football back without suffering any more points. 2
touchdown passes for Lindsey Scott. He has ran 2 touchdowns into the end zone. 5 touchdown passing performance by Levi Lewis. What a ball game to begin district play for these two teams in a district that has improved immensely here over the last couple of years. Flag down on this return. We've already seen Calvin Joseph return one for 95 yards. Flag is in a very weird spot on the field, though, on a return, as Coach David Brewerton will hope his defense can make a play when they get back out there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Try to get a big play on defense, a turnover, an interception. They had a big play, in that first quarter, and the defense was able to score, but they just need something to right the ship here on defense.
14 touchdown passes on the year now for Levi Lewis. Very humble young man. Fits the mold of the offense that Scotlandville's running this year. Just consistent, as you've seen tonight. Hasn't made any mistakes, really. Can extend the play well. And Coach Robert Valdez has been able to send a couple of his former quarterbacks to Southern University here when he was at West St. John. He coached Trey Joseph, Austin Howard. And Levi Lewis looks like to be his next prodigy, who's going to head on and play college football somewhere, as Lewis keeps it and gets maybe 2 or 3 yards.
Oh, wow. Did that ball come out?
Did the ball come out? Zachary says they have it. Now the referee is saying that the ball was down.
Yeah, it looked like it was late in the play.
Only 1 turnover tonight. That was forced by Zachary. Ended up being a fumble recovery for a touchdown. That's the only highlight we've seen here defensively for the most part. So 2nd down and 8. Scotlandville, they would love to have a long time-consuming drive.
Here's your replay here, and no, he's clearly down.
And I think the whistle had also blown prior to him actually hitting the ground.
Kudos to our camera folks. They're on it.
Some great shots tonight. Lewis keeps it as he gets it to the outside and stays on his feet. Ushered out of bounds at about the 44-yard line. 10-yard run by Levi Lewis, who's been doing most of his damage with his arm with the 5 TD passes, but shows he can also run the football as well with the best of them. Was there a flag down? No flag down. So 1st down and 10 as they move the chains on the far side of the field.
Well, and you can see Scotlandville here taking a little more time than they normally do. Of course, they'd love to chew some of this clock up as well as get some more points. Try to make it a 2-possession football game.
Charles the carry, and there's a big seam for him. Wow. All the way up to the 28-yard line before Zachary brings him down, and Trenton Charles has had a huge second half for Scotlandville.
Well, and it looks like a bad play for Zachary, but at least it's not in the end zone. I mean, you do give up a long running play here. We saw one similar to this in the first half where he scored a touchdown. Got tremendous speed, but they didn't give up the big ball over the top, and you're still going to force Scotlandville to make more plays to get into the end zone.
Braylon Jones on the touchdown saving tackle. And then we get a little bit more of Trenton Charles, who just runs so hard right up the middle. And that was what Coach Robert Valdez told me, when if you give him a crease like they did on that last play, he's going.
He's quick. I mean, he's quick and he exploits it. And once he gets in the open field, he's very, very difficult to handle.
Marcus Stokes is their complimentary back. We haven't seen him at all tonight. It's been all Trenton Charles, who's only a sophomore. Remember that name, Trenton Charles. Looks like he's also got a Division I college football future ahead of him. Charles gets it again, this time hit behind the line of scrimmage. Nice job defensively by Zachary. If there's a guy on defense that's going to make a play, it's Tywan Bearden.
Well, no doubt about that. I mean, he's their leader. He's the one getting them in the huddle saying, hey, look, guys, we got to get the football back. You know, this could be a meaningful district game. We got to get this ball back and really get those guys jacked up.
The Scotlandville player, Brian Litt, a tight end, coming off the field, unable to put any pressure on his left foot. And so a third down coming up here for Scotlandville. They have to get to the Zachary 17. 6:35 and counting in this final quarter of a tremendous ball game here tonight at Zachary. Lewis will throw. Got all day. Into the end zone. Knocked away. Finally, a Zachary defensive back makes a play.
Well, that's a huge play there. And I'll tell you what, that play actually took a little longer to develop than it was designed. But it was you can see the crossing route in the back of the end zone. And you can see Levi Lewis wants to get him the ball earlier. He's still covered, so good job by the defensive back. And really just throws it out there to see if he can free up. And I'll tell you what, that's textbook. When you need a big play from your defensive back, you actually get it. And you know, they have to be jacked up about that.
That was P.J. Cannon that got the hand out there to deflect it. He's an outstanding baseball player, too, for the Broncos. So fourth down for Scotlandville. Up by 5 points. And we have movement on the line, and I think it's going to be against Scotlandville. At least that's what the Zachary defense thinks. And that's going to push them back 5 yards.
Well, and the thing here is you know, Scotlandville obviously does not have a field goal kicker who's capable of hitting it from this distance, so they're gonna go for it. It doesn't make sense for them to punt the football, because if it goes in the end zone, you're essentially only picking up about 8 to 10 yards. So, you know, Zachary's got to make sure that they are mindful of those first down sticks, but also mindful that Levi doesn't throw one over the top.
This could be the game, the play that shifts the momentum one way or the other. Fourth down and 12. Lewis has to step up a little bit, flushed out of the pocket, needs to make a play. Zachary's all over him. He just heaves it up towards the end zone. Incomplete. Zachary's defense finally gets a stand.
Well, and that's the one that they needed. You know, the reason that Levi Lewis
flag down at the 16. I was wondering why there was some hesitation there from the Zachary sidelines. And it's going to be against Scotlandville.
Well, again, the reason why Levi Lewis didn't throw that football earlier is because the secondary for Zachary had great coverage. They forced him around in the pocket and then had no choice but to throw that football because it was fourth down. And you're right, that is the play that this defense really needed. And this can be that momentum shifting play for this crowd, this fan base. They now know that they have the football and an opportunity to go up in this football game with 6 minutes left.
The Zachary student section, they are into it. Everyone has been into it. Most of the fans here standing on their feet on the near sidelines. First down and 10 for Lindsey Scott and the Broncos at their own 29-yard line. Plenty of time to march down the field and take the lead. They give it to Terry Sullivan. He bangs off of one defender and gets to the 34-yard line. Tackle from behind. Reggie Cleveland makes the tackle.
Boy, and how much would Coach Brew love to get Sullivan going right now at that 6 minute mark and really begin to chip. This is what they've been wanting out of him. He's a big back, and you can see it's going to take a lot of people to bring him down. And, you know, as that defense starts to wear out on you, this is when you have an opportunity to get that running game going and really grind that clock down.
Second down and 5. Scott, his man was not open, so he's got to take off with it. He's got the first down and then is shoved out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Kelvin Joseph came up to apply the contact to knock him out of bounds, but it moves the chains for Zachary. 5:22 left to go for David Brewerton and the Broncos. Who will make a play on defense for Scotlandville? They need someone to step up here to try to stop Lindsey Scott. Or Terry Sullivan. Sullivan gets 2 as he was hit at the line, falls forward. DeAndre Williams, who has 4.6 speed and outstanding strength, brought down the ball carrier Sullivan. Only 2 yards.
And you can see Zachary is very, very methodical in getting the play off and trying to milk as much of this clock as they can.
Trips to the near side. Shropshire is the wide receiver to the far side. Quick pass on a bubble screen. And this is White. White into Scotland territory. Still on his feet. Dragged out of bounds at the 30-yard line. They want a horse collar penalty on the Zachary sideline, but they're not going to get it.
Oh, this is going to be close. You couldn't really tell. Obviously, sometimes the takedown looks a little bit more vicious than it is. The question is did the Scotlandville defensive back, here goes the quick little bubble screen, and Chiron White makes some great plays here. Second effort, yeah, that's about as close to a horse collar as you can get. Fortunately, it wasn't thrown there. And the good thing is that the player's okay.
1st and 10 at the 29 now of Scotlandville. Scott and the Broncos on the move once again. Terry Sullivan running straight ahead. Gets a hard 3 yards. Again, and there's a penalty coming in. The Zachary sideline was waiting for a flag. It was not where the tackle occurred. It was away from that.
Yeah, it looks like a skirmish with one of the offensive linemen. I couldn't tell if it was 74. Well, he's...
So a personal foul penalty on the Hornets. That moves Zachary inside the Brian Harris Audi red zone. It's in the bottom right hand of your screen here. Always the second guy gets the contact, right?
Yeah.
Or the penalty.
They were going at it. It was a little extracurricular there, and you mentioned it. Retaliation.
One of your keys to victory for Scotlandville, keep your composure. That time, that was not the case for Caleb Carter. 1st and 10 now at the 13 for Zachary. Scott will roll out to the right. Scott gets hit from behind by Cleveland, still moving the pile to the 6-yard line.
Wow.
Under 4 minutes to go.
And that's him just showing you his lower body strength. And the reason I actually think the school he's going to is a good comparison, Donovan McNabb, is because, McNabb was a big, strong quarterback, that lower body strength. And you can see there, Lindsey Scott showing you his strength, just carrying Scotlandville defenders closer to that goal line.
2nd down and 4. Scott to Sullivan. Sullivan running right into the heart of that Scotlandville defense. They push him back, but his forward progress looks to be stopped shy of the first down as he's inside the 5-yard line. And that clock keeps ticking as we're approaching the 3-minute mark.
Well, and I know that the idea is to run the ball, to milk the clock, but now if I'm Coach Brewerton, I'm saying, look, my first objective is getting the ball in the end zone. The heck with the clock. You're obviously, if you're going to score, there's going to be plenty of time for Scotlandville left on the clock. But my first priority is making sure that I call the best play that I have in order to get me a touchdown and get ahead in this football game.
They'll bring the chains over to see if he got enough for the first down. Needed to get to the 3.5-yard line, and it's close. Did he get it? Oh, boy. An inch. So 3rd down and an inch coming up here for the Broncos, down by 5.
Well, and I wouldn't even hand this ball off. I'd line Lindsey Scott right up under the center
He already had a quarterback sneak for 30-plus yards for a touchdown.
I'd line up right under center, and I would tell him, look, I don't need any jitterbugging. I just need the first down. That's what I need. Just push forward. Tell that offensive line the same position Coach Brewerton played. He likes to get down there with the nasties and just push those guys back and try to get a first down.
This has been a great high school football game. District opener in 4-5A. Looks like they'll still line Scott up in shotgun formation. Scotlandville's.
Well, I think they're looking to see, and then they're going to hurry up and do it. That's kind of what they did the last time.
Scott on the quarterback sneak. What happened, though? There's a whistle and there's a flag. Did they get
Far
set?
Side.
I don't think they got set.
Yeah. Wow, that's going to hurt if it is. Go from 3rd and inches to maybe 3rd and 5.
So it is a legal procedure. So that pushes the ball back out to the 9-yard line.
Well, this definitely changes things, and he'll be in the shotgun now, and I'd probably get him on the roll. He's had success with that, and giving him an option to either pick it up with his legs or he can see one of his receivers out there in the flat hit him.
Doug Coleman, the wide receiver, to the near side. Scott will keep it. Finds a little crease. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, Broncos! 3rd TD run of the night for Lindsey Scott.
Well, not a fan of the play call, but obviously it worked. I mean, I hate taking away one of the options from the quarterback, which is to throw the ball, but that was a design run. Fortunately, he saw that crease and was able to hit it. As you can see here, there was no intention ever to throw that football.
Great block by Terry Sullivan.
Yep, gets in there and gets that block, and then able to get in the end zone.
Fouled Blake Anderson as well, the offensive lineman who was pulling. And the former offensive lineman, Brett Beard, loves that smash mouth football. So the 2-point conversion try to make it a 3-point game, even though it's unlikely that Scotlandville would try a field goal. And a quick pass into the end zone on a 2-point conversion, executed perfectly.
Well, that's the old Tim Tebow play, but it wasn't the jump.
Grabbing it in the end zone there for Zachary was R.J. Newton. 2:27 left to go. Don't go away. It's a 3-point game on the Cox 4 Game of the Week. Cox 4 thanks Louisiana Lift for their support of this telecast, specializing in customer service on equipment, rental, parts, and training. Louisiana Lift has been serving its customers since 1980. Check them out online at lalift.com or call their Baton Rouge area office at 753-5700. Jeff Palermo, Jason DeQuire, and Jessica Province for this instant classic between Zachary and Scotlandville. Scotlandville's got one more opportunity as they start this drive from their own 39-yard line. Again, a 5-wide receiver look for Lewis as he looks over the defense. Zachary jumped off sides. I thought, well, they let the play continue here. Lewis, no one open downfield. Still no one open downfield. And now he's just going to run out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Man, there's wide receivers all over the field, but nobody open.
No, and you got to give credit. I mean, Zachary's kind of, I wouldn't call it a prevent, but they're definitely playing a deep zone. They don't want it to get behind them. And, you also have to give Levi Lewis credit there for not just forcing one, because a turnover right here, Jeff, a fumble, an interception, or anything, I think that ends the football game.
So 2nd down with just over 2 minutes to go from the 43-yard line. 3 wide receivers to the near side, 2 to the far side. Lewis zips one over the middle. Could not make the grab, though.
Yeah, trying to get Charles there on a little seam route. He really didn't have much of a window in there. Charles not a very big guy, but you're right. He tries to throw it in there.
You know what I'd run here? I'd run a draw back to Trenton Charles on 3rd down and 7. Because
here goes. You can see Well, it was pretty good thrown football. He had a chance to make that play. But I hear you. You would look at that draw. It's been successful,
Yeah.
and a little misdirection maybe.
He's been running the ball so well here in the second half, but it's also hard to keep the ball out of Levi Lewis's hands. Here comes the pressure, and he's got to take off. Makes a great move to get into Zachary territory. Still on his feet all the way up to the 33-yard line. What was I thinking? Just give the ball to number one and get out of the way.
It's sort of like a draw. It's sort of like a draw. Yeah, but again, this is just athletes making plays. I mean, Levi Lewis is a phenomenal athlete. We've mentioned it all night, and you can see here, just he knows he's got to get across those chains, and he's doing everything he can. So shifty. He also plays a little basketball point guard and pick up a lot of that shiftiness from there as well.
Brad Jones was in the backfield quickly for Zachary, but it looked like he was just trying to contain Levi Lewis. First down and 10 now. Lewis back to work. No one open. This is like playground football right here. Now here comes the pressure. He's just got to get rid of it. Still on his feet. How does he do it? Now, and then he looks like he gets hurt, but he's still on his feet, and he's galloping to the 20-yard line. And then he slides down to the 17.
Oh, my.
Didn't it look like he got hurt there?
Oh, you talk about video, A, B button, C buttons, jumping, hopping. But I will tell you, he missed, I keep wanting to call him Jamal Charles, but he missed Charles. Watch it. I don't know if we'll pick it up, but he was wide open in the middle of the field, just didn't see him. And this run here is just, it's nothing less than spectacular. It's just, here's where you saw this hop coming up over here.
I thought he got hurt there. I thought he pulled something right there.
No, that's just part of the package, man. I don't know what button the hop is. Maybe that's a C or D button, but.
My gosh. Today's the
see, that's where you saw Charles coming across the middle of your screen there. You could barely catch it, but he was wide open. I know he had started to scramble a little bit. If you saw him, he would have walked into the end zone.
What a run. My gosh.
Does he get tired?
I don't know. Coach David Brewerton is hoping that was it. He hoping that he just emptied the tank right there.
Is that why he slid? He's like, all right, that's it.
But I don't think so. So 18 yards away now from possibly a winning touchdown for Scotlandville and a 6-0 record for the Hornets.
Well, and again, I have to point this out. Scotlandville, no matter how much time is left on the clock, I sense that they're going to be playing for the touchdown. I just don't think that they have confidence in their field goal kicker to even attempt a field goal. So they're going for the win.
This is 6 or nothing right here. First down and 10 at the 18. Brian Harris, Audi red zone. Lewis will just run it. Why not? To the 15, to the 10, and down he goes at the 8. He was hit hard there. Clock ticking as we're approaching the 1-minute mark of this game. Should be first and goal once they mark the football. And actually, second down. He's second down in less than a yard.
Do you consider calling timeouts if you coach Brewerton? Just to say, okay, if they do score, I preserve a little time on the clock?
You might after this play. Let's see what happens. Lewis waiting for the snap. He takes it. Quick throw out into the slant. His man catches it down to the 2-yard line. It's now first down and goal. That will stop the clock with 33 seconds left. Dude, they got a goal line stand in them, Zachary. The catch was made by Trenton Charles.
Well, and this, I will tell you, it actually plays, if anything, plays a little bit into Zachary's favor when you have this sort of spread offense. It gets narrow down there when you're on the goal line. So we saw Scotlandville struggle a few series earlier with their goal line package.
So Zachary does burn a timeout here. Stop the clock with 29 seconds left. 49-46, Zachary leading Scotlandville. David Brewerton has sweated through that visor he has here tonight. What a ball game from Zachary. I think this has lived out past the expectations of what we thought. We knew we had a good one, but no one could have imagined it would be this kind of a knockdown, drag-em-out thriller.
Yeah, when you survey the crowd, everybody's on their feet, trying to. This is a nail-biter down to the wire, and I mentioned these schools are not very far apart from each other, kind of crosstown rivals. This is, like you said, it has lived up to all the hype there. And speaking of hype, You see the Scotlandville band getting themselves hyped up.
So 1st and goal from the 2. Lewis will actually take the snap from underneath center. I formation. Cleveland to tailback. Here's the pitch to Cleveland. Gets to the 1. Did he get in?
Fumbled.
The ball
He
came
fumbled.
out.
He
Ball
fumbled.
came out. Zachary's football.
He fumbled.
Oh, boy. Zachary's defense comes up with a humongous play.
Well, and I mentioned it, when you get down to the goal line, Scotlandville has to start trying things that they're not used to. I did not see who made the hit, but as soon as that helmet hit the running back, that ball comes out. I mean, it just pops out, Jeff.
I think it was Cam Chancellor who knocked it out, just like the Seahawks.
Watch this. Boom, right there.
That was, who else? Tyron Bearden.
I saw Bearden come running to the sideline first. That's why I didn't know it. But he came running because of the hit that he made, and that's gonna seal it.
Oh, what a play. Well, your heart breaks for Scotlandville and Reggie Cleveland. He's very hard to feel.
Wow. I think Brewington doesn't know whether, he's still scratching his head.
He can't believe it.
Yeah, he can't believe it. His defense has been the Achilles heel, but at the end of the day, it's the defense who saves the day and saves the game for him, essentially. And, Bearden, when you think of players on this team, that's one of the leaders. That's one of those players that you expect to step up and just did not want his team to lose this football game. And, just a textbook tackle right there.
Bearden had the fumble recovery for a touchdown to get Zachary on the scoreboard, and he makes the play of the day to keep Scotlandville off the scoreboard and from winning this game.
Well, I hope we can see this one more time. This is undoubtedly the play of the game.
Well, David Brewerton and the Zachary Broncos do it. They improve to 5-1 with a thriller over Scotlandville, 49-46. What an effort by Scotlandville. Let's take a look at our Mellow Joy game-changing play. Number 40, he's lined up. Look at him as he comes across the edge.
And there goes.
Big time hit.
What a hit. He dislodges everything. He dislodges the ball, the player, and wow, what a hit when you need one.
We'll get another look at it. Somehow Zachary recovered that ball. There it is again. Boom. Bearden just knocking that ball loose into the end zone, and someone in a black jersey able to recover that loose football for a thrilling win for the Zachary Broncos.
And Jeff, that's the one place that this Scotlandville offense has struggled a little bit when they got down to those goal line situations. We saw them try to run some of those tight packages, those less mile pitch plays. You saw them do it there, and running back fumbles the football.
What a finish to this one. Zachary holds on to win on a final goal line stand that resulted in a fumble recovery in the end zone. Unbelievable. Lindsey Scott Jr. wound up with 350 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, along with 208 yards on the ground and 3 more scores. Zachary wound up winning the 5A state title in 2015. Their only loss was to Calvary Baptist Academy. Scotlandville didn't lose another game until a heartbreaking 1-point loss to Mandeville in the second round of the state playoffs. We hope you enjoyed this one. Now don't forget, we'll have great live high school football on YurView this fall. Check your local listings for games and times. I'm Chris Harris, and thanks for watching another exciting classic high school football game on YurView.